Hey folks, I recently just picked up a brand new webcam and it might be my best overall camera, period. In this video, we're going to compare the Insta360 Link to 3 other cameras. The one I'm shooting this on currently, which is my Sony ZV-1. We're going to look at it from a traditional webcam from my MacBook Pro, and then we're also going to look at it from an iPhone and just see how this camera stacks up, what features it has, what it doesn't have, and how it looks overall compared to these other more expensive cameras. Let's jump into it. To get started here, all you need to do is plug it in via USB-C cord, and it will go through its startup process where it levels the gimbal out and gets everything started. There'll be a blue ring going around when it's not in use, and when it is in use, it will transform to a green ring. This has a pretty standard mounting system with a wide lip that's able to go onto your screen and fit over a monitor or whatever else you need to do. It also has a 1/4-20 thread at the bottom, so you're able to put it onto a tripod, which is what I'm going to do for most of the videos in this review. And finally, because this is a gimbal, it's actually able to rotate smoothly and track you because it has AI technology inside of it, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a few moments. All right, we're going to test real fast. Looking at this car, autofocus back on me, autofocus, pretty good. Now I'm about an inch or so away from the camera's lens, and it's able to autofocus really quickly. And there we go. Found it, no problem. All right, so we're recording. We're just going to take a look and see where autofocus comes in at. This one is very quick as well, especially if you give it enough light. We're probably about 1.5 inches, 2 inches away from that, and you can see it focuses on bone shaker and shows off a nice amount of detail there with my lighting. That's not perfectly ideal, but it works for what we're doing here. And here is a video example on my iPhone 13. This is not the Pro version. This is just the basic iPhone 13, not the mini or anything like that. But this is what it sounds like. Direct audio. I do have a case on my phone, so I don't know if that messes with the audio at all or not. I'm not really sure. But let's go ahead and take a look at Bone Shaker and see what it does when we zoom in and out, and then we can kind of just see comparison between all of them. And again, I don't know what this looks like because I don't have a real preview right now. On my Sony camera, I can flip the screen around and at least see what's going on to see if it focused properly. And on the Link, I have the computer available so I can see what's going on. With the computer itself, I can't see a live preview. Oh, sort of. I can do it through QuickTime if I wanted to. But on the phone, unless I flip it around and use the worst kind of front-facing cameras, I can't see a live preview. So this is me recording off of my MacBook Pro. It has pretty decent microphones, way better than most laptop microphones, and you can see the camera quality here. So I'm recording this, sorry if it's moving a little bit, I'm holding on the computer because I couldn't find something to hold it up high enough to make it safe enough for me to put it on there. But you can see I'm recording this into Camtasia, so it's going through a little processing doing that, but you can see the quality of this, and we'll look at the quality of this versus the other ones here in just a moment. And one of the things with this is I have no idea preview-wise what this looks like, so I'm just going to hold up Bone Shaker here, roughly that 1.5 inches away. I don't know what the autofocus looks like on that, how well it's doing, how bad it's doing, or what's going on with it, or where focus is at. So we'll see what happens when I get the post. Okay, and here are screen grabs from each of the 4 cameras. You can see that Sony, I think, is the best one. It got the closest with the most clarity. The colors are much better. The Insta360, the clarity is really good. The autofocus is really nice. I just need to play with the colors a bit more to get them closer to the Sony. I prefer the Sony colors. They're a little bit cooler and a little less contrasty and saturated. But I think that's probably more just settings. The iPhone failed here because I couldn't see what was going on. And that's a big kind of problem that we have with that. Also, some of the colors where the light's coming in are blown out. And that goes with the MacBook Pro as well. Sharpness-wise, it's fine because a typical webcam is going to do infinite focus. The problem comes in that we just don't have the colors that we need, and if we go back and take a look at like skin and all that stuff with the MacBook Pro and the iPhone for that, the skin smoothing is just ridiculous. So I think Sony wins here, but it's a dedicated SLR camera that costs double what the Insta does, and it can't do some of the same things. Let's take a look at the Insta a little bit more in depth here. Into the computer based off the microphones on Insta360 Link. It's currently set up on tripod. It has a little green light going around it right now to tell me that it's on and working and tracking. It turns blue when it goes into privacy mode, and then will actually flip down, which is kind of cool. But we can take a look here. You can see that the colors are a little off. So we're going to go into our image settings here. We can change our color temperature to be warmer or cooler, or we can just set it to be auto. Nice. We can set the brightness, the contrast, the saturation, which I think the saturation looks a little much, but you can see you can dial it back real fast. So you can really get the look you're wanting to get there. The sharpness we can increase pretty quickly and go back. Same with contrast. So if we want to dial that back a little bit, we can really play and get the exact look that we want to have here without too much worry. So we can really dial in and see exactly how everything's going. Inside this more settings area, we have the ability to use gestures so we can have it kind of follow us. So if I want to do this, it should follow me. It's blinking, and you can see that as I go side to side, it follows me. Kind of cool. Necessary? No. And I can do this in software here as well. Hit at the bottom, you have tracking and a bunch of other things. For me, this is not stuff that I'm going to use a ton of, but it's kind of cool that it's there. And then we also have the ability to manually focus. So if I really wanted to play with focus here and just kind of get things dialed in, you can see that I can play with it quite a bit. And it has a really good range here. Also, depending on what quality you're recording in, you can put on HDR, which I'm not going to do. And then there's a streamer mode, mirror image. There's a bunch of really nice options in here that you can do some fun stuff with, especially with the gimbal control as well. So if I needed to pan over, I can do that. And I can keep talking and I can say, hey, that's my new gaming computer that I built. That's my new monitor, and that's my 3D printer. We can do that, and then I can just reset it back to normal. Now, my tripod usually faces down a little bit, just so you don't look up my nose by accident. So I always have that set there. So I'll just bring it back down, and you can kind of see what I'm looking at here. I'm doing this on my MacBook Pro. It's an M1 MacBook Pro, base level except for storage. It has increased storage. But you can see this is kind of what you get. This is what it looks like, and you can see I'm right here with my computer looking at it. So hopefully you can see the voice quality, and then we're going to do a couple test shots as far as autofocus and all that. We'll get it in there and take a look and see what it does. Now, one thing that's not included with this is any type of case or protective matter for whatever reason. So I just went and 3D printed out a little case that holds it on there, and then there's little rails on the top lid that hold the gimbal in place so it doesn't shift around at all, and it's pretty easy to remove. If anybody's interested in this, just let me know and I'll shoot you the STL file without any problems. So as you can see, it's a pretty impressive camera. It gives you a lot of options. You can customize things to be exactly what you want them to be. You can change color temperature, you can change sharpness, focus, saturation. You have a lot of controls right at your hands. You can save them. And if you're into the AI stuff, as far as tracking, doing all that, you can do lots of things with it. That part's not necessarily for me, but it gives me flexibility. It allows me to move around a space by being a single camera person and still be able to track where I'm at, where I need to have another person do that with this current setup. So it has some flaws, but it's pretty darn good. And for the price point, you're not going to find much better out there. Hopefully this helped you. Let me know if you've looked at this camera or what might be better than it. I'll see you in the next one.